Gentlemen, welcome. Hope everybody's doing well. I'll get right into it. I'm going to pick up where I left off the other day. What happens to you after all these things of the initial court processes and everything is settled and your money and everything has been ordered? This is where it really does start to this gets ugly. This is where everything really starts to change in any aspect of your life. I don't know how it goes on with guys when that it happens when you're older, like in your 30s or 40s, after you've already had a lot of stuff, or like money stashed, or money, put in coffers, or whatever you want to call it, or having property or material things or vehicles that have wealth or anything like that. Like I do not know those experiences and those avenues. I just know what exactly goes on the moment you walk out of the proceedings for the support order. At the age it happened to me, with nothing or anything in the coffers, or stuff like that. Like that is probably, they say start from the bottom and work to the top. This is like starting like 2 miles from under the bottom just to get to the bottom to start the fight to the top. And probably because it happened when I was younger, I had no clue of what I was in. I had no clue what was coming. No clue how the easiest, simplest, stupidest thing was going to change and become a complete fight. And you don't really look at in my state, and maybe this is everywhere, but it didn't hit initially. It took anywhere between 2 and 4 checks at my job for it to hit. And I think that was even quicker than what I was told it would be, because I think there was some kind of a time allotted for me to save, or for me to get bills or something squared away before it happened, so I didn't become evicted or lose my, or something like that. I don't remember all the details. Hell, that was 17, 18 years ago. But there was something that was stated to me about a period of time where I'd be able to save something or get things squared away. But that never happened. It never happened. And like my place of employment back then, it wasn't, obviously the times were different. The banking systems were a little bit different. Not everybody had these retarded, stupid, prepaid payroll debit card nonsense things, or not everybody required you, excuse me, gentlemen, not everyone required you to have a bank account. So we still had checks, and these were given out in front of everybody. And I was oblivious to what was, coming on this check. And I work outside. I'm equipment operator, and I have to do other things that are, a lot of humans, including men, don't want to do. But I was good at what I did, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, especially the more I did it. The elements and everything becomes nothing. It's all mind over matter, and that's the truth. I worked in nasty conditions. Like, you guys don't understand. Like, you have to. Sure, there gets a safety thing where you can, call your shot and tell the boss, I don't feel comfortable, and as long as it's legitimate, they're not going to reprimand you when you get in trouble. But anyways, that's not the point. Like, that right there, man. Like, that's just nuts when it hits you. You've been working and working and working, and depending upon what you do for a living, when this is happening to you, man, and you open your check or you look at your bank statement and you see what your 40 to 50 hours brings you after this hits, what they tell you in court and what everybody else that you start asking questions or listening to tells you or you hear, nothing prepares you for that. That right there is ultimate, like kicking the punch in the face, anything. I can't put into words the feeling, the sensation that hits you. It's horrible. I mean, that right there, fellas, to me personally, was worse than any whatever experience with a woman doing something behind my back or lying to me. Like, that's traumatic. That's the stuff that causes PTSD, I suppose. It doesn't get any easier, to be honest with you. It doesn't, man, because again, fellas, you have to understand, I can't speak on or relate to this going on with as a man when you're older. I can only relate to you as this happening as a young man. My reactions, experiences, and my emotions are all based off somebody in their mid-20s translating to their late 20s. It is because I was younger, didn't know a lot of things, didn't have a lot of real world experience. My family was gone to me at this point, basically. My dad was already, he wasn't dead, but I didn't have a good childhood. I kind of told you guys a little bit of this. I did not have a good childhood. Any prospects or whatever of my life or my adolescence ended on February 14th, 1990. But anyways, this you can't, because you're young, man, it's hard to learn how to be stoic. Or maybe you just don't know what stoic is, or how to control your emotions, not wear things on the sleeves, or not tip your hand. Those are just real life skills that I didn't really have, or I barely knew. So over time, people start knowing something's going on, man. It's just the facts. You eventually have to start being careful how you say things or do things. And people start approaching, and people do poke and prod. Especially people you've known for a long time, guys that you've been in some very dangerous situations, and you really have to trust them. You have to trust them. I'll give you an example, gentlemen. The equipment that I handled, very dangerous terrain and stuff. I because of the requirements of the job and because of how good I was, I could do things experienced operators couldn't. And I was also asked by my bosses to do things that was very, very whatever, because they trusted me and had faith in me. And they also trusted my intuition and handling of the machines. But things happen, even the bosses would tell you, this is probably a bad idea, but I need you to try it. And we have your back. We have your back. And, these guys were good about stuff like that. I had hairy things happen, and you have to trust them, man. You have to trust them. You have to. Because you have to know how to do your part to get out of the predicament you're in, or to save the equipment or the property. So you have to trust these people, and these people have been with you and been in some predicaments with you. They're going to start knowing you're different. They're going to start knowing your eating habits have changed. Your lunch breaks are different. And that's without even getting into the big changes yet, guys. But it is incredibly humiliating, degrading, embarrassing, and all those other isms and whatever else it is. When you got grown men coming at you wanting to know what's going on, and then you got the stuck-up, uppity people, or people who think they're better than everybody because they're snowflake, hover parents and all that nonsense. They start spreading rumors and gossip, and here comes the accusations of alcohol, drugs, and gambling, and God knows what else. In my personal situation and experience, the only thing that saved me from snapping or anything was my two bosses knew firsthand what was going on. So whatever was said or done died the second it happened, because my bosses knew the truth. So my bosses never once believed any rumors. They knew what was being said and why it was being said. It's horrible, man. It's horrible. And back then too, you guys know the world was different. Our culture was different. Attitudes of men and women were different. Everything. It was all different, man. And then your home life, man. Your home life is the most, man. Still to this moment, I don't know how I navigated what I navigated or did what I did. The home life, there is no home life, man. I'm just going to be transparent as I feel comfortable with you fellas. I was in a relationship when this all happened to me. I was in the relationship before it happened. And no, fellas, I did not want this. I was adamant with her and told her I did not want this. And I kept getting the most insanely stupid sob stories and everything. And I got the chick to understand, okay, we can be friends or we can get along and this and that, and maybe every so often, yada, yada, yada. But long story short on that one, fellas, I completely got duped and lied to. To the point where when things got out in public, Okay, little insight. This chick lied about her personal stance. This woman was married, but separated from her husband because I don't know the truth. I still don't know the truth to this day. But apparently, she could not get pregnant and told her husband these things, yada, yada, yada. He believed it. And after, I guess the guy just, he wanted children. She couldn't bear children, and they separated because she would not sign divorce papers or something about the money for the divorce. So not one person would be stuck, paying the bill to leave each other. I don't really understand the details of their whole separation, but long story short, this guy found out what was going on and what was being done to me. This guy showed up at my work, and I'm thinking this guy's going to kill me because I didn't know they were married, man. But the dude just broke down everything and told me the truth about what's going on. That chick played me bad, and yeah, she was older than me. And she knew what she was doing, but I didn't want that. And to this very moment, 3-4 years ago, this chick tried to find me or talk to me or say stuff because we do got a history. And that's nobody's business. But and she asked me, "Oh, and all the times and all everything did you?" And I still told her no. I'd never wanted you. I did not want to be with you. I'd never ever had any emotions for you. You duped me. You duped me to get me so you didn't have to be alone. Or in the back of your mind, you thought because I was younger that my little swimmers could do what they could do. And this is a horrible situation. But I had to put up with this. I had to put up, and of course, I'm not going to be stupid and discredit. If I wasn't in the relationship, I would have instantly, the second my order hit me, I would have instantly been homeless. I would have, because I can't pay bills. You can't afford to pay bills. But it's hell. It's miserable. Look, I don't like this chick. I never liked her and I never will like her. But she seemed to be somewhat towards me and didn't really seem to be an issue at first. Didn't really seem to be, but eventually it does. Things happen, you know what I mean? Like, her job stuff changed and it became completely separate from my job hours, which then goes into the transportation. Who gets the car? Who's got to find a ride? All these stupid things. Which then in turn caused me problems at work because I wasn't able to do what I needed to do for my job because I'm not going to lie. Child support hit me. She went to her boss and gave whatever stupid sob story to get a promotion or get a raise. So obviously I had to start letting her have my car. I had to. Because fellas, with child support, man, there's nothing you can do. You can't really do nothing to get your money back. You can't. Initially, fellas, you could probably try to get a part-time job or do something like that. But I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. The second you do something wrong or do something right, and it's not your fault, but you lose your employment or you guys don't work for a couple of weeks or a month because of your job is outside and the weather is prevented or something's happened, hey man, whatever you're doing to try to get ahead is over for you. If I was to tell you the state I reside in and then you went to Google or whatever search engine you use and typed in their laws, one of the first 4 things in my state laws for the support agency tells you all your places of income, sources of income, they all get doxxed. So if you work 27, 28 hours over here at Timbuktu and whatever, then you go over here and you think you're going to get a little part-time job doing whatnot, I'm here to tell you, it don't matter if you make a difference in money, whatever, they're still taking out of both. That's just the truth, man. Like, you can't do nothing. But it's horrible, man, what they do. It's just, you can't do nothing. You just can't do nothing, man. And it just starts to... Look, fellas, I don't believe in a lot of these nonsensical things about the sicknesses, diseases, and psychological and mental nonsense, because I know what's right and wrong, and I know what a scam is, and I know what a farce is, and I can tell when some of these things have been set up decades ago. But I will tell you, the mental and psychological stuff that happens, I can't compare anything to it. How you have to force yourself to do things, to force yourself to fake being happy, to fake enjoying something, walking in to pay the stupidest, simplest bill. You're the most angry, mean, hateful, disgusted person alive walking because you just spent 50 hours working and the little crumbs you have left is gone. And then it's only 4:30 on that Friday afternoon, Friday evening. You still got another 6.5 days before you get another $50. You can find everything goes, fellas, everything. Because if you do got whatever, that person's taking over the brunt of the household, finances and covering things. Everything goes, fellas. Everything goes. You start losing if you have your own little vices. Your vices are one of the first 2 or 3 things that start being, totally altered or neglected. Whether that be the kind of coffee you drink, kind of cigarettes you smoke. I mean, everything. Every single thing, man. And it's hard when you're younger. When you're younger, your mind is so work, come home, do what you want to do. Whether that was back then, we all know it was Xbox 360, PS3. That's what everybody did, man. That was the golden era of video games, in my opinion, fellas. Guys, we were born with the best of the best. We had the best cartoons, we had the best TV, the best movies, the best music, and we had the best games. Man, screw all this stuff they got today. You couldn't pay me to come back and be a kid with this stuff. Forget that. No way. But you see what I'm saying with this, fellas? Like, every single thing goes. And then eventually, man, you really start getting dark. You get dark. You have no motivation. Whatever hobbies and interests you've had for years or decades, you can't get a candle to light the fire for you to enjoy it. It's you have to. In social things, man, it's almost nauseating. It is. You know in the back of your mind you can't enjoy it. You can't whatever, because when people start really enjoying themselves, you can't partake because you ain't got the disposable income to go buy that beer. You ain't got the disposable income to go have that shot and continue the conversation. You don't have the means to go to the after thing. You don't have the means or whatever. So guess what, fellas? Your job stops including you and inviting you to all gatherings. Eventually, the stuff in your home gets really worse. Like your relationship, the people involved on their side, they stop including you or inviting you to the dinners and to the holidays and the birthdays because they're looking down on you. They're like, oh, so my sister or my blah, blah, blah has got to pay for a dusty blah, blah, blah dude because he can't carry his own weight. Nah, you stupid morons. I've been done carrying my own weight. I'm doing more than carrying my own weight. You just took my means to survive and live and provide for myself. It is not a joke. It is not a joke. It's these things happen. I almost wonder, fellas, to be honest with you, what is worse? Having these things happen when you're that age or happen when you're older? I honestly don't know, because of the psychological trauma and what happens, man. I don't know how you can't block them out. You can make them whatever for years or decades, but they're there. They're gonna always be there. And the job thing, man, eventually gets to a point where it's like stagnant, or it's just like, I guess for lack of a better phrase, it's like a robotic, same thing over and over. You learn to, I guess, adapt to your personal stuff, and you learn to start carrying this armor and this body of armor and this shield with you, and probably a couple little swords too in case the attacks come. You learn to start putting off different little fake things so people leave you alone, or they think things are okay and this and that. But it's hard to go back to what you were. It's hard to talk the way you used to talk, interact, and then you start avoiding things because you know where it's going to lead. You know guys are going to be hanging out and playing the game. You know guys are going to be going fishing. probably camping out on that Friday night and then fishing on the Saturday morning, and then everybody going back early Sunday morning or late Sunday morning. Everything, man. I mean, okay, look, fellas, sure, at first, those one or two guys that you were whatever with, or them whatever dudes from work that with for a couple seasons or a couple years, they're not going to start turning back and whatever initially, but we're men. We all have testosterone, tempers, and all these things, man. I'm a human. And it took me years to understand, but I do see why they did what they did. It wasn't personal directly at me because I did something. Their attitude or lashing out was their frustrations at what I was going through because I could not participate or go along with them or be with them anymore because it was a burden on them. They just didn't know how to explain it or express it to me, so you get ghosted. Ghosting wasn't a term back then, fellas, but you know what I'm saying. People silently walk away from you because they don't want the stress or pressure of the conflict of telling you why they can't hang out or whatever with you anymore. Fellas, and that's probably the hardest thing that it did. Carrying that for the rest of my life. You tell me how in the heck I'm supposed to get over that one. You tell me how I'm supposed to get over the fact that since I was 25, 24, I can never have a relationship or a bond with another gentleman. Somebody that I could look up to, respect, and everything, and I could whatever. I have to already know in the back of my head they're not gonna mess with me because of this, and it's not right, man. Some of that too is because our culture and things changed. I do know when I grew up and when I was born, a lot of stuff wasn't about money and material nonsense, man. It was about you guys know if you're my age. We hung out. We did stuff, man. You didn't come home until the lights came on at night. We was getting down and dirty. We were kids, man. We had fun. We didn't have no stupid stuff to fight over and bicker over, man. We went out, had our imaginations, and did things. We were kids, man. We were teenagers. And I know it's different now, so that does play into it. I know that. But it doesn't take away of how it stinks. And I don't care about the women stuff of it, fellas, because we're all men. We all know how to get what we want to get. And I'm not talking about giving any kind of bartering system or paying for services. Don't believe in it, don't condone it. And at my age, I have never in my existence entertained the notion. I laugh at these females who try to say something to me in public or want to follow me thinking they know where I live. I laugh at them. You guys would probably laugh if you heard me say what I say in public to them when they say something. I don't care. But the women thing, bro, is not as hard. That's not as hard as your friends and your family. Like I told you before, man, you're gonna have a gazillion females who are chameleons who think that they are gonna make a difference if they validate you or if they entertain you with some time or entertain you with a pseudo relationship. I've heard it all. I've heard it all from all kinds of women from the places I've lived. Oh, I don't care about this. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Sure, fellas. It'll work for a short period of time. But who cares about that stuff? That's dumb. And then fellas, the other thing too is, as we all know, just because you have your order for your money, that's got nothing to do with your children. So fellas, you not only are learning how to adjust and adapt and everything with not having this money, and then slowly things trickling down and losing them and going away, you ain't got the two legs to stand on to fight, to have any whatever with these kids. You guys are completely crazy and insane if you believe a public pretender in any county, in any state in America has got your back or is going to do anything. You guys probably can figure out on your own the kind of money you need put away or the percentage of money you need put away for the kind of legal things to even get into the arena for the fight for whatever with the children. Again, I'm only speaking on my state and my county. You ain't got nothing. You could forget it. You could seriously forget it. Like I can tell you when I had the diagnostic done and then I had to go back for the money stuff and everybody had to be in court. When my one son was walking away from his mom and was trying to come over and whatever, Them police and all them stupid punk, you know what? They want to come at me like I'm everything and then tell the kid he can't do this and that because there's no order or there's no whatever. See, man, this is what I'm saying to you. Like, this stuff is no joke. It's crazy, man. And that's just how everything starts and how it starts to just go completely downhill. That's the truth, guys. Like, I had the same apartment with this when I was in my relation. We lived there for years and everything. You bet your rear end, fellas. I lost it all. No matter how much I worked, no matter how much I did whatever, or my boss tried to help me with stuff on my check that they couldn't garnish. Because the truth of the matter is this too, fellas. Once you do get to your 40 or your whatever hours, and you get to the whatever of your monthly order, once that threshold's been reached or whatever in the database, you do have an opportunity to get an extra 20, 35, whatever dollars if your job will let you do it. That's the truth. I will not lie to you about that. If you work the hours and you get to that threshold of covering the monthly order for whatever your situation is, if you bring in home 117 every 2 weeks and you covered it and your hours covered the money, but your boss lets you do an extra 12 or whatever hours, you will see that extra money. It will not be in the support column. It won't be in their taxes. It won't be in any of that. It'll be on the regular stuff, and it will not be deducted out of anything. But that, dude, the personal stuff and your home stuff, like once that starts to go down and everything in between, your job. Like, and it's the truth. Like, and that's exactly how it happened. We lost the place. And I know a lot of reasons why, man. It's because people started finding out my personal business. You know, your landlords and other people, man, have rights to run checks on you. You guys know this. I can't prove that this idiot years and years ago, that was one of the sole reasons he did it, but I know it was. Because I knew that landlord on a first name basis. I used to go in there after work. We used to tell stories because he used to want to hear about the golf and stuff or some of the people I'd see up there and meet. But at the end of the day, man, he was just a chameleon. Another little beta. Out here messing with these beach beluga land whales and his property. But that right there was the start of my train wreck. Lost that. If it wouldn't have been for somebody at my job that, lo and behold, behind my back had no idea the chick that I was in a relationship with knew this guy, talked to the guy, and they had their own little whatever friendship or bond going on behind my back. But if it wasn't for that, and knowing this guy and him, whatever, with the chick that I was in a relationship with, he helped me find a place in the area he lived. Which, somehow I still believe that was manufactured or whatever on purpose, because these other people in my personal situation ended up getting a vehicle, and I started that. Everybody involved knew I had no freaking money. But somehow I was supposed to go come up with an extra 30-some freaking dollars for carpooling to work. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I got my own stuff. How about I do this and you pay me so I have some extra freaking money? And then she can go get a ride at 3:30 to go to her stupid job. Of course not. Of course not. No, of course not. Just keep kicking while you're down and keep making all these rules and excuses. It was dumb. But that didn't last. That didn't last because, fellas, lo and behold, did I have any inkling about what was about to come and hit me next, man. I didn't have no clue at all. And I'm going to end up and wrap this up here shortly. This is where I really get into this is child support in a nutshell, what I'm about to say at the end of this video and then in the next couple videos, man. This is the dark stuff. This is not for the kids. Some of you guys that don't want to hear these things or don't care, don't listen to it, because I'm about to explain to you everything now. I'm past the intro and past the initial stuff We're going to get into the real world, man. We're going to get into the courts. We're going to get into what happens when you lose your job. We're going to get into everything, man. The criminal system. We're going to get into everything. Your pretrial. Everything. What the social services. How you are oh my Lord, fellas. But after I had moved, I still at the same job at the golf course. Time goes. A year or two, everything had passed. I'm going to say this is probably 2010. 2009, 2010 is when this really started to get bad, I think, for me. Because if I remember, it was March 11th, 2010 or 2011, Fukushima. Okay? Because all this stuff in my life happened around the same time. But our season was winding out at the golf course. And for the holidays, my boss, my superintendent, he always took us out. He always treated us, all the full-time regular employees, he treated us on his own personal money. We do whatever we want, get whatever we want, drink whatever we want, everything. And if this guy would pay for us to get home. He'd let us leave our vehicles at the restaurant or the bar or at the country club. He'd pay for us all to get home, and then the next day he'd come back and get our stuff. The guy was wonderful, man. Wonderful, wonderful man. But this guy comes, and when he's doing this time, we all knew something was wrong, man. There was one woman that worked with us because her dad had been with my boss for 30 plus years, 2 different golf courses together, 2 different country clubs together. And she was really good at her job, but she really acted like a dude, so she fit in. The guys liked her. I didn't care for her because I don't do drugs. And I don't do pills. And I know what pills she did, and I don't care. But even her, she was close to my boss. That's the reason I'm bringing her up. She was close to my boss because of the relationship her dad had with the boss. And in a golf course, fellas, a little pro tip, the machines and like the actual like tees, fairways, greens, approaches, the collars, all these things, right? Those are minuscule. One of the most important things on a course is the rough and then the landscape, the layout, the sight lines, the flower beds around like the tee boxes and all these things. That's the bread and butter. That chick was amazing at that stuff. So like that's why my boss was, to her. So I'm sitting here conversating with a couple of guys, but I'm kind of looking and reading the room, and she's just acting real funny. She's looking like she's mad, like she about to cry, I knew she had a daughter. I knew her daughter. And I'm thinking like, man, something happened to her daughter maybe, because her daughter was a teenager, so it could have been, chemical, physical, I don't know. When my superintendent shows up, he tells all to be quiet and get our glasses. This dude stands up. I ain't going to give you the whole speech. This man proceeded to say he was done. He was retiring. And they weren't sure what was going to happen and who was going to take over or get promoted or whatnot. Fellas, I knew it. And it was 2 or 3 weeks later when somebody pulled the trigger and hit me with that 12 gauge. Because the only person at that job that didn't really like me because of stupid personal stuff. This dude liked one stupid sports team because he was born in that state and transplanted to where I was born and raised. And he gonna dog me for my upbringing, my family values, and what I was raised on. It had nothing to do with my job performance or anything like that. It's strictly because he was this and I was that. Well, lo and behold, I don't think a lot of us knew he was in the running to be promoted, or he was being considered by the board, the director of the board, to take over for the country club and the golf course. He did. He did. What do you think that greedy, unhuman, filthy whatever did? After he got in and settled down for a month or so, the first of the year, like this is probably going into 2011 if I'm doing this right in my mind with my time. One by one, he starts laying off the experienced and the youth. And then the ones that got families, because those are the ones that with the money or the whatever. All so he can bring in his younger college party single people. Or people that have these stupid degrees but have no experience No one ever had to diagnose a disease on turf grass. No idea how to diagnose this but you know how it's just, I don't want to get into details of the diseases and the stuff on the turf grass, but you get what I'm saying. This dude did it one by one. And I was one of them, obviously, man. I was one of them. And that right there, fellas, once that happens to you, unless you got a good attorney, or your county is way, way different than mine, and the people who run it are way different, or somebody explains to you your legal rights and what you can and can't do to avoid anything, that was it, fellas, and I didn't have a clue. I did not know what was coming, gentlemen. I did not know the reckoning. I did not know anything that was coming my way, gentlemen, at all. I had no clue. I had no idea. And fellas, it is unbelievable, the legal system in this. You don't even know that they're coming for you. You don't know. You don't know. You don't ever get a letter or a mail or a phone call. You don't get anything. You don't get anything telling you that, hey, you're behind or you've missed this. Don't nobody call you anywhere or ask you what's going on and what can we, don't nobody suspend anything for a period of time to let you get another job, nothing. And I didn't know any of this. I just knew that I was paying what I could pay and doing what I could do. And then your attitude and everything, you start thinking, well, why am I going to go do this if I don't get no money? You start looking for hustles. You start looking for things that pay you cash with no middle stuff and no paper trails. That stuff gets you, man. It catches you. I don't even know how to begin to explain it to you guys. What it's they get you, man. They straight get you. It is. I getting a little whatever just thinking about that whole thing, because it is not for anybody. And most of the time, fellas, I'm going to tell you the truth, man. The non-support order that they get, usually it is a felony. It usually is a felony. I'm going to tell you, at least in my state, the disgusting, filthy, demonic scheme and trap they pull on you. The second you do get, you obviously don't know you got a warrant or got a whatever for you for non-support. But when they get you, you guys, I'm telling you right now, the first thing is alcohol and drugs and everything in between. Everybody's accusing you of this. Everybody thinks you do it. It is horrible. It is horrible. And like yeah, you do get a bond hearing. You do get that. You got to go in front of someone to be heard, hear a bond. But you guys don't. Oh my Lord! And they want to entrap you. I call it entrapment, because they want to keep you in the system by putting you on papers, some kind of control mechanism, probation, the substance this, halfway houses this, anything. What if you don't live in that stupid county? What if you don't live in these whatever, man? They don't care. They don't care at all. They don't care. You don't want to talk to a mental health? You ain't got no choice. You refuse it, that goes against you on your pretrial and your sentencing. Good Lord, fellas. This is where the real stuff comes. This is the real stuff that comes, fellas. I'm about to explain to you everything. You get the poking, the prodding, the mental health, what goes on with the mental health. Anybody that is listening to my voice right now that's ever been in the mental health or had to go talk to somebody, what these people do, you already know what I'm about to say to you. The stuff with your parents, the wanting to know who's done what and this and that, and then they don't believe you when you say what you say. And if you don't cooperate, the judge knows whatever, and then it goes against you in your sentencing. If you have certain faiths and beliefs, but you state these things, and you still choose to not cooperate, it goes against you. It don't matter. Now today that might be different because we're in this whole more woke and my feelings and safe space nonsense. Back then, do you seriously think these people gave? No. No, guys. I don't want nobody to go through this, man. I don't want nobody to go through this. Because, fellas, once you get into the criminal and the legal system, that's over. It's over for you. How the inmates treat you when they find out why you're in prison. Dude, you can't hide that stuff, okay? Anyone who's been to prison, I'm going to call out all you liars and you fakers. You guys are full of it. I can tell when somebody has, man, because here's the simple thing. When you get to the reception place, you get your little packet that tells what your charges are, your sentence, your out date. If you got parole, PRC, it tells everything. It tells all your previous prison numbers. It tells all your previous criminal charges. You guys can't hide that, especially in the first whatever of your sentence, because you're not in your parent or your final place. You're in reception where they classify you, security, classify you, everything. You don't have no locker boxes with locks. Your stuff is wide in the open. You go to a rec, or you got to go do something for medical, or you got to report to something for your classifications. Your whole bunkie and everybody in between can see your stuff and read your stuff. You can't hide it. You can't. You can't. Don't come at me and tell me whatever. You can't hide and lock stuff up till you get to your final destination. Only then and there do you get commissary and get to buy these things and lock and hide stuff. People find out, fellas, it's over. Them guards, your bunkies, the inmates, all the medical people, the mental health professionals, the pastors, don't nobody. You're better off, man, being a whatever individual and breaking the law and getting in trouble than you are for having child support. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. I can send you guys, put it on my screen right now, something that just happened in the county where my support order is. They caught a grown man, probably my age or older, going and staring and doing things with himself, looking at little girls and everything. It dude in the same county that my support order is, was only put in the same jail that I was put in for 8 or 9 days, and he was released yesterday. But if they want to come for me and whatever to me now, you think I'm going to be treated like that? No, I'm going to be treated like somebody who's pulled the whatever worst criminal caper in the history of my state. You guys don't want this, man. And I'm telling you from personal experience. No one's going to tell you because they either don't know or they don't want to embarrass themselves because things didn't go properly. So they've got a bad story or they did bad things. I don't have any of those things. Ain't nobody touched me when I was incarcerated. I got no problems telling you what did happen to me, but nobody touched me. Ain't no one going to tell you this truth, man. You don't want to go any kind of jail or prison system for child support. You just don't. You don't, man. You can't never get over the mental stuff. You can't get over what goes on to you. I don't care, man. This stuff is harsh. It's brutal. It's dark. And what's crazy, fellas, is people, when you get through this and you get released, all these supposed agencies and these professionals and these legal people, they got the audacity to tell you to go out and freaking lie on paperwork and legal stuff and job applications. You can kick rocks with that. You gonna go just get released from the institution and then be told to go commit another felony? The fellas, this is the biggest death sentence in trap in existence. It is. Just be prepared, man, because what I'm going to say next is not. It ain't for everybody, man. It's dark. It's scary. It's harsh. This is how you get homeless. This is how I learned and found everything that I know and see what I see. Because I had to, man. You guys don't want to know what it's like to have to go on the street. You don't want to know what it's like to not know about no food, where you're going to lay down. You don't want to know what it's like to be told you can't get into a shelter, man. You don't want to know what it's... No, you don't, man. Ain't nobody gonna tell you any of this stuff. You don't want to know the humiliation, man. And gentlemen, make no mistake about it. I know a lot of places don't do whatever for fellas. In the state that I live in, dude, they do have things for guys. And it's only just now that these places are seriously starting to be like, well, hold up, wait a minute. These guys are really only in here because of this. They're not meth heads and alcoholics and you know what, everything in between. How do I know that, gentlemen? Because I've had to do stuff in the last day and a half. I've had to talk to people that do this for a living. And these people they're starting to really understand that they're not going to have a job or the whole thing is going to collapse. Because they see it. Men with child support or alimony, you have no rights or nothing. And the state that I live in, these places now are starting to understand, like, wait a minute. If we don't change something, this is going to seriously hit ahead sooner than later. Violence-wise, or people just not showing up to work and caring anymore, whatever it may be. A lot of this stuff is more relevant now than it used to be. Guys, just protect yourselves. Protect yourselves. Know the laws and the rights in your county or your state. And don't ever get in the system, man. Don't get in the system. Stay away from all these things, man. And gentlemen, even though you think you can do whatever, and you may try to get some help and get these things, the system knows. The system knows, guys. You go trying to get whatever, and they're going to find your address. They're going to know. They're going to know. They're going to know everything, man. It is brutal. No employment. What happens is just downright scary. But fellas, I might break into that chapter later today. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow because I have my own personal things tomorrow. But just, man, stay out of this. Stay away from it. Stick to your morals, your values, your principles, your faith, your ethics, beliefs, standards. Trust your intuition. And please heed my words, man. Stay away from this legal system because they don't care. But you don't want to know be sitting in that place, man, and then somebody just killed 2 or 3 people and they're only getting whatever kind of punishment and you missed a bill payment and you're facing, you just don't. The mental things, man, and everything in between is horrible, guys. Ain't nobody tell you what happens. Nobody tells you nothing, man. Try getting in trouble, going in the system with this. You think you're going to survive? You can't get no commissary money. You're on child support. Come on, man. Protect yourself. Look after your sons, your nephews, your grandsons, and any other young men that might be involved some way, directly or indirectly, in your life. For the love of God, please do it. Don't let nobody get to the situation I got put in. Don't. Explain to somebody the laws in your state or the county. Explain. Got to look out for each other, fellas. If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything, guys. This has been Reviving Real News. I'll talk to you later.